Welcome to Unlikely Courage with Alicia Johnson. Here is part 2 of my TAP San Diego seminar report or whatever. I mentioned that I learned something that was really, it was exactly what I needed to know. So I've mentioned a few times about body dysmorphia, and lately, I'm going to be really raw and real here in a little bit. Actually, okay, so my biggest thing lately was from October until just barely, I had, and this is a trigger, this is a big trigger warning here. I'm going to talk in depth about my relationship with food and obsession. So I've noticed the past month or so that I have had absolutely no stop button. I've craved junk like crazy. I've been putting on weight. My clothes don't fit. I know I look thin, but for me, this is not where I feel comfortable. It's been something that I have hated my entire life, from the time I was teased for being fat when I was a little kid to when I didn't date. I beat myself up for the weight thing, even though I know I'm skinny. But if I'm not perfectly skinny, if I'm not fitting into my clothes just right, I'm not okay. It's been something that I've struggled with more than I hate it. I hate that I struggle with it.
Me too.
Yes, it sucks. Huh, Shani?
Yeah, it's not fair.
It's the hardest thing. And so Shani and I are going to collab and do something a little bit more, like reasons why it's easy to eat, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to do one of those, but I'm just going to share what I learned, and I'm going to share some of these clips. Nichole Bukowski, I hope I'm saying your name right. She ran Ragnar with us. She is amazing. Oh my gosh, my hero of the weekend besides Bonnie and Pamela and all. Okay, one of my heroes of the weekend. But she is.
Shani.
And Shani is my main hero.
I'm joking.
Shani is my main hero. So, but yeah, I remember thinking leading up to it how frustrated and how nervous and how why don't I have a stop button? Shani, how often did I ask you why I don't have a stop button?
A million times.
Yeah, in the past month it's been really bad.
Mm-hmm.
Really bad.
Like daily.
Daily, multiple times daily. I'm like, what's wrong? And I'm thinking there's something wrong. Well, I go to this class and I'm actually going to play this video of what I learned, and I swear, prayers are answered.
What happens is when the fight or flight system turns on, it's more useful for these acute or short-term stresses in your life, right? So if you are going through a small stress, it could even be something, a healthy stress, like you need to get up and present, right? That could be stressful, or, right, just gotta be honest, stress, and it can help you to get to a deadline. And it's good but then the deadline passes and you're like, okay, I can turn off that stress response, right? But when we're grieving, it's almost like that stress response doesn't get turned off, right? And so when it's something quick, your body needs that energy, and so you put things into your body that may give you energy, such as sugary foods, such as more fatty foods, right? Because your body's like, I need energy. I need to do something, I need to hit a deadline, or I need to do something that is gonna kind of help me survive or get something done. But when the body's in almost that constant survival mode, that grief turns on, grief can turn on, there are two responses that can happen. So some people are saying, I feel like I didn't want to eat, right? Because it can make your body literally freeze, right? It's almost like if you've ever driven, I know in New England when we're driving down the road, it's happened a couple times now where I'm driving and I'll see a deer and they just stop, and I'm like, I need to move out of the road, And so that can happen, or the body can go into fight or flight mode. And when the body goes into fight or flight mode, then it's craving more glucose. Because what happens is your body's like, I need sugar, I need sugar, I need to do something. It thinks it's constantly needing energy, and the quickest way to get sugar is comfort food. It's the quickest way to get energy. So your body's like, sugar, I want more sugar, and I want more sugar, and I want more sugar. And then what happens actually is that your body naturally produces what's called serotonin and dopamine and epinephrine. So when it produces these natural neurotransmitters, they make you feel good, right? So your body gets these natural things. So when you eat a sugary substance, like you eat a candy bar, or you eat that carrot cake, right? That carrot cake, I know, I was like, oh, it feels good, right? So you eat something like that, and immediately you feel better. So in the short term, you feel better. But what happens is in the long term, your body almost needs more of that to get the same benefit. Does that make sense? It's like your body's saying, all right, that's like you said, I keep craving more comfort food. and it's like I feel like I just need more. And it's true. Your brain literally thinks that it needs more to feel better, right? There's been a lot of research through what's called the mind center body mind center body. It's out of California, and there was someone who presented at Nationals. His name was Dr. Gordon, and he has created this whole mind-body trauma healing diet. And I actually like the word lifestyle a little bit better than diet. I feel like diet's like restrictive, or it makes you feel like it's a short-term thing. Where lifestyle is like, all right, if I maybe make these simple shifts or small shifts in the foods I put into my body, could I potentially turn off that constant like stress response so that even as I continue to grieve and I go through this process and I go through this journey throughout my life, could I maybe have less physical pain? Because wouldn't that be nice? Just to even like have a little bit less body ache, a little bit less, more like freedom in your body to feel good, right?
This was amazing to learn what she was saying. So to summarize, basically, grief mimics fear. And here's where I'm going to be really raw, and I debated about sharing this part. My heart's even pounding. I'm nervous to share this because it's something that's really deeply personal. At the beginning of October, I kind of started dating somebody, and it didn't work out, which is fine. My whole life, I've wanted nothing more than to get married and have kids. I've planned for my kids, I've envisioned them. That's all I've ever wanted, was to have my own kids. And I get angry when people talk about like, oh, maybe in the next life, sweetheart. I'm like, that's so insensitive, that's so rude. I still mean it. You people who are talking about the next life to people without kids, just don't, okay? But I swore never to give up on that dream. And in October, I finally looked at my age and I looked at where I was at. And, you know, I'm going to marry the right person. I don't want to hurry up and have a baby. And at this point in time, I've got a job that I'm grateful for, but I don't make enough to, like, take the steps needed to, like, maybe preserve, get my eggs frozen or whatever. It's something that, you know, I'm not in a position to do right now. And reality finally struck that my chances of having my own kids are very, very slim right now. And it broke my heart, and I grieve. It's not impossible. I haven't given up on it completely, but I finally allowed myself to face that. First of all, guys guys close to my age, they might not want to have kids, and that's okay. I want the love of my life. I want to live I can live a happy life on my own. I'd rather do that than with a jerk, but I want to find the love of my life. And if he's done having kids, why would I put that desire on him? Unless he really wanted it, you know, I finally realized that, guess what? There's a good chance it's not going to happen. And so I grieved. I was grieving. I realized this past weekend that I was grieving the kids that I don't have and might not have. And it was really painful and really hard. And I knew that bothered me, but I thought it was just for a week, but it wasn't. When you're grieving or when you're afraid, you're in fight or flight, which I've spent my whole life in. It's just like being constantly ready to run, you know, just taking care of myself and everything like that. And so what your body does is all your blood pumps to your limbs and your heart, and you're in constant awareness, and your digestive system almost stops. And what makes sense with the no stop button, oh my gosh, this was such a ding, ding, ding. It might be obvious to some of you, but for me,
Me too, when you
it was
told
like,
me. When you told me, I had never thought of that before.
Nicole's brilliant.
Brilliant.
You're like, why do I crave crap? Well, you go straight to the thing that is going to fuel you to run and to have that instant energy, which is carbs and sugar and crap, and where your body's not digesting. So it's like you fuel yourself with that stress. It's stress eating. It's because that you're getting ready to go and like kill a dragon or something. And so you eat some and you're constantly fueling yourself with that, with those carbs, with the quick burning fuel, and there's the stop button. So grief and fear mimic each other. When you're in that state, and I was in that state all through October, and I think I'm doing a lot better now. I'm okay now. You know, again, I've met some great people, and I'm very hopeful about my future, but at the same time, I'm very realistic. That future might not be with me pregnant and having a baby, which again, it hurts, but I've been able to face that, and, you know, I'm coming to peace with it, but I've been grieving this whole time. So grief and fear are the same. So my adrenaline was pumping. I was constantly ready to be on fight or flight, and there was my answer. And I think part of having that answer has helped me to get to a better place. And something, I will do trigger warnings with this. I have started working with my nutritionist again, and there are a lot of things that I want to learn, and I'm probably going to have her be on with some of my videos. But I know where I want to be, not in a skinny way, because I am skinny. And it's funny because people, like even this good friend of mine who's a fitness guru, he couldn't tell that I'd put on weight, but I could. But I am going to be working with my nutritionist on how to really enjoy these healthy foods and a better lifestyle, so I can continue to live the way I want. And maybe if the man of my dreams, who I'm going to find one of these days, and I'm going to get married and you guys are going to celebrate with me when I have this amazing marriage that I've been promised and looking forward to, I'm not going to die alone. That sounds morbid, I'm taking that out, but I am going to find that person. And if having a kid is not for him, then I'm going to be okay. So anyway, I'll talk a little bit more about that, but I was just enjoy watching this. And also another thing she taught us is little simple doable ways. The fascia, this is another really cool thing that she taught about, was like how important it is to not just stretch, because that sounds really painful and horrible, but little stretches you can do. And how the fascia, which is like kind of like a membrane outside your muscles, it like helps your body. If you like break it up and you're like massaging, like there are these little tools, like this thing that has little balls on it, and you like rub it and massage or whatever and stretch, the fascia kind of glides, and so it's smoother. Well, it was interesting because I've got this Clarisonic machine, and I've been using it for about the past month or so, because I was starting to feel like I was starting to look old. And it's interesting because all of a sudden my wrinkles are going away and things like that. So it makes sense that if you break that up, then it's like you've got a lot more movement, you're more limber, your skin's healthier, things like that. So we learned about little stretches you can do. The cool thing about how she taught was she taught really simple, easy, doable things that made sense. And so it's not just like you have to stretch out. It was more like, here's what you do, and it's not that hard. And again, with the whole eating thing, it's like, oh, you want to eat all the crap in the house, and you want to eat all those M&Ms because you're in a state or fight or flight. It's just, simply put, easier to overcome.
Actually, within our body, that can release the pain in the body, which actually releases that pain connection to the brain and to the mind. So our goal is that you have more tools so that throughout your personal journey that you have different ways of taking care of yourself. So we're gonna stand up and do a community stretch. You'll see a lot of dogs in this presentation. So it's an idea that our brains, right? So our movement is controlled by our brain, right? And so what the neuroscientist said was just the whole idea of notice, right? So even if you're like, well, I have, right now, my breath feels shallow, right? So if you're like, it feels shallow, so you're noticing. That's great. If where you are is like the notice, that's huge. And then you can say, all right, well, if my breath feels shallow, maybe if I try to take in a little bit deeper breath, all right, then I can start to shift myself out of this constant fight-flight mode. And then I can begin to rewire my brain to have less reactivity and to be in a little bit more ease. So it's not this like fast process, but it's like over time, if you notice, you do a small little change, you begin to turn that dial so that the way that you feel literally does change.
Last thing I'm going to share with you is my shirt. This is the TAPS Inner Warrior hoodie. I got this from Ragnar, and I am going to do a video about Ragnar because it was amazing. What does my shirt say?
TAPS, our lives will be our tribute,
Okay.
Stronger every day.
Yeah, so this is the Inner Warrior TAPS, our lives will be our tribute. And I'm going to put a link down there because I know that Emily Clark Munoz is still doing a fundraiser for TAPS through these hoodies, and they come in different colors and they're adorable. So if you want one, I highly recommend it. It's one of my favorite programs. And Kyle is over that whole thing. I went running with her and everything like that. You'll see that in the other video. So anyway, thank you so much for watching again. And thanks for watching Unlikely Courage with Alicia Johnson. And I'm reminding you to let your fears inspire you to be brave and live. See you next time.